Link to the end, baby. You and I both know LinkedIn is a powerful platform to utilize when it comes towards generating opportunities. But how do you do this effectively? On this episode, my guest is going to talk about how he shattered his quota by utilizing LinkedIn. You're going to love this. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. My name is Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode right now, we're going to be talking to Richard Smith, and we're going to focus on LinkedIn, specifically how you can take advantage of LinkedIn and shatter your sales quotas. He did that, and he's going to break down some of the strategies that he did, and hopefully you can take this and apply it. Again, if you're looking for a silver bullet, don't listen to this episode. If you're looking for something that a seller actually utilized that works, you're going to check this out. If this is your first time listening to our podcast or watching one of our videos, subscribe so we can notify you every time we got a new episode. Also, I'd love to get you to connect with me. You can find me on LinkedIn, Donald C. Kelly, Donald C. Kelly, Donald C. Kelly. You can also find me on Instagram at the same title. LinkedIn is a powerful strategy that we use all the time. I want to make sure if you haven't checked it out as of yet, we have a program that helps sales professionals to maximize their LinkedIn. You can find some information in the show notes as well, and to show you how you can generate at least 3 appointments per week. As we dive into this episode, take some clues, take some of these things and apply them, and let's see if we can help you to make some difference in your sales effort. Rich, welcome to the show, man.
Donald, it's been a long time coming, and this is my second appearance on this wonderful podcast. I'd hate to say how many years ago it was since my last one, but excited to be here for episode 2.
Well, we're going to link back in the show notes for that. So, folks, you can get see Rich again, his first go around and then the second go around. And since then, you've been tearing up the world and doing all kinds of amazing stuff. So I can't wait to unpack some of your success you've been having.
Yeah, absolutely.
With that, now you're in a different organization, correct?
Sort of. Yeah. So when I was last on the show, I was working for a company called Refract, and we were a conversation intelligence platform, and we were actually acquired by a company called Allego in about 2 years ago now. We are now part of the Allego group, excited to be part of what we're building here at Allego and expanding their footprint in the EMEA region.
Well, you guys are doing some amazing stuff, so I'm pumped about it. And if you guys don't know much about Allego, we have a link down in the show notes as well. Obviously, you can connect with Rich to get details on that. With that, Rich, you clearly have been doing some stuff well when it comes towards your career and come towards your sales experience. It's anyone who follows you, they can see some of those fantastic stuff, especially on LinkedIn. Many sellers are trying to take advantage of LinkedIn, but the challenge is using LinkedIn appropriately and effectively. You shattered your numbers with LinkedIn, and I'm here as a pupil, so to speak, today to be able to come with my notes and to learn from the genius. What does it take to effectively utilize LinkedIn to shatter your numbers? So if you don't mind giving me the backstory about were you always this amazing on LinkedIn, or what was your strategy? How did you start utilizing LinkedIn, and when did you first discover it was going to be effective breeding ground for sales deals?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say, going back 3 years ago, I had this realization, Donald, that I saw lots of people who were kind of building a bit of an audience for themselves on LinkedIn, and I always kind of wondered about why would you do that, is probably the question I was asking myself. I was one of these people who used LinkedIn proactively as a seller, but one of these people who I would describe myself as a lurker. In other words, I kind of like lurked in the shadows. I consumed content. I sometimes engaged with it. But I thought, how do I, surely there must be a reason why I see people so proactive on LinkedIn every day, posting content and all the rest of it. And I just decided to basically just get started, which I think for a lot of people is where they don't make progress. They just don't get started. They have too much head trash about, hey, why would anybody want to read stuff that I post? Or, hey, I'm just a salesperson. Why would anybody want to be interested in my content? When actually, the way I saw LinkedIn is, hey, I'm going to turn up every single morning here and I'm just going to basically write about my experiences in sales, which is typically stuff that I experienced maybe the day before doing the day job. And I just want to kind of post out there what I experienced and what I learned from that. And, maybe what I learn, what I share is actually resonates with the audience, people going through a similar experience. And it has definitely been like a marathon, not a sprint, that classic phrase, Donald. It hasn't been one of those things that, hey, I made a few posts over the space of a couple of months and suddenly I had all this engagement and, all these inbound leads and all the rest of it. For the first 6 months, you could say I got very little off LinkedIn, but I just stuck at it and made it part of my morning routine whilst I was having my morning coffee every single morning, and I've kept that up for the best part of 3 to 4 years, and it's been one of the best things I could have ever done. So, and I guess the only thing I'd add on to that is that
So,
my audience, the audience that I sell to, a lot of these people actually live out on LinkedIn, and so it's the perfect arena for me to be proactive on.
So go back to that. There's a couple things that you said, and I want to just rally back to it. Was one around the fact of being the lurker. Many people lurk on LinkedIn. I have an answer for why I feel that's the case. But why do you feel that so many people lurk rather than engage?
Yeah, I think the reason so many people lurk on LinkedIn is, I think a couple of reasons. One, they feel like they don't have anything meaningful to contribute, but they have those thoughts in their head. Two, I think people, it sounds harsh, quite lazy, like they're just happy just reading stuff, but they don't want to make the effort to contribute. And I think thirdly is that people have, as I alluded to, a lot of head trash. They worry about, hey, if I add a comment onto this person's post, and what will people think of me if they don't agree with the comment that I've put on, or hey, what if I've put something on there and it doesn't get acknowledged and I just look a bit embarrassed? I think people have all this. It's head trash ultimately, which stops people from just taking action.
Yeah.
So I kind of probably boil it down to those three things. What do you see?
I think going back to what you said around um the fear of looking silly, and I think you covered it on a couple of those points in some ways, but many times, and I'll speak from my experience, I did exactly what you said on the podcast. So back in 2012 when I started a podcast, I was sharing stuff that was working for me. Transfer that now to, I feel like in that case I can't really see when people are like, if they're driving in a car and listening to the podcast and don't agree with something, I don't see it, I don't know that. It's just me
Right.
putting out content. The same concept, but when LinkedIn, if I put something out there and nobody says anything, it's one, embarrassing, and then two, if they attack it because it doesn't sound cool or it doesn't make sense to them or it's a bad idea in their view, then now I have that fear. So all of those, and then three, it's like there are other smart people on there. Why would people want to hear from what I have to share? I don't know if I can contribute to it. That's what I told myself before I started really contributing to on a platform, and it's fascinating. And when I spoke with LinkedIn, they said the thing that one of the problems that people have is that it's a P word, professional network, right? Because they think it's a professional. If those same people will probably go post on Facebook or go, post like repost something, some stupid thing about cat videos. But when it comes towards LinkedIn, because it's a professional network and peers and people are going to live, that pressure comes on them, and
Right.
it's I think it holds them back, and it definitely held me back before. But I love what you say. Just do it. Just do it. Do it. Even for 6 months, do it. Fun stuff will come from that. So yeah. Anyway, that's my feelings and thoughts and stuff that I've learned about it. But the key, though, from what you've done over the years, is you've converted that, though. Like, that's where people are here. They're like, okay, Donald, I know I need to post. Is that just the key, Rich? I just need to post content. Sometimes you hear people say, I was successful. I was poor, and then I became very successful, and now I have a jet. You can do it too. So how do I get the jet? How do I get from posting content to actually shattering my result, my quota, though?
And this is the magic question, right? Because I bet there's a lot of people who listen to this podcast or people who
Yeah.
follow me on LinkedIn and think, yeah, Rich, this this takes effort. Like, surely there's got to be a point in doing this. And I think the first thing, the question you have to ask is, why would you want to do this? Because for some people, it's for different reasons, right? I could point to lots of different conversions that I've had using LinkedIn, and it's not just from like sales perspective specifically. That has been one of them, but it's been, it's helped. It's helped me get access to candidates that I've subsequently gone and hired, like great people added to my sales team. It's opened doors to partnerships. It's opened doors to, quite frankly, getting on this podcast. I probably wouldn't be here if I wasn't proactive on LinkedIn and building that audience. And I see the benefit of that, because it's helped me get speaking slots at events, and it's boosted my personal profile, which indirectly helps my company too, right? Because I build awareness with my for my company. But if people are thinking like specifically about, well, how do you use LinkedIn to generate revenue? I had this burning question in my head for like a number of months, and I actually asked a few people who I saw doing it really well, saying, "Hey, you post content a lot, you get huge engagement on your posts. Like, what do you actually get from like an inbound lead perspective? Does it generate inbound leads?" And I remember one guy I spoke with, he said, he said, "I can put a post out on LinkedIn," and he says, off the back of it, I've almost got to the point where I can generate about 2 or 3 good inbound leads off the back of it." And I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. Like, that's just on one post. If you did it every day, you can just create this lead funnel for yourself. But the key is
so with something like that, sorry, go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it's how do you actually go about doing it? Because I think a lot of people see it as, well, I just go on LinkedIn and I just post loads of stuff about my company and what I sell and my business. And the problem is that that's the kind of content that turns people off, right? People see it, they smell it from a mile away, that this is just someone out there just promoting themselves, promoting their company, promoting their product. When actually the key is to almost anti-sell, right? And this is quite strange for some people to hear, but you have to be on there not wanting to sell your product. You have to be on there building an audience, because here's the rule: if you build an audience, you will generate leads off that audience. But first and foremost, you have to build the audience. And that is the key starting point. And I think we can maybe dig deeper into this, Donald, but that is, for me, where people tend to go wrong. You've got to build the audience first, and the inbound leads come off the back of it. But don't go out there trying to flog your stuff. That's not how you build an audience.
So in addition, if I'm a sales rep, keep doing what you're doing, your emails, your phone, your, whatever text, you're doing that stuff. This is my investment that I have going on. It's not like I take all, I'm not worried. It's not like I quit my job and just hoping that Bitcoin take off. Put some money in Bitcoin and I'm going to still do my day job, is what you're getting at. And by doing that, these investments or whatever that I have on the side will turn to opportunities, because that's where it led to you. And
Right.
you said inbound. So is it like people hitting you up in an inbox, or coming to the website and scheduling an appointment, or what are the typical things that happen for you?
Yeah, it's a combination of them all. I can maybe share some examples, Donald. And bear in mind, most of the content that I'm just talking about every day is just about sales experiences. It's literally the coaching session I was doing with a sales rep yesterday. It's the live demo that I was involved in 3 days ago. It's the objection that I heard listening to a sales call, last week. It's kind of, this is where I'm just getting my inspiration from. I'm getting my inspiration from the day job, which makes it quite easy. And actually thankfully from who I sell to, I can then turn that content into interesting, valuable stories and learnings that for the people that I, quite frankly, want to sell to. But I can maybe share a couple of examples. There was one in particular where I remember I wrote this post about why salespeople are terrible at doing sales demos. Right? It was actually experiences that I've had in my sales career, and I wrote this post, and it was all about like my experience of sitting on the receiving end of a sales demo and how I found it a really bad experience as a buyer, and I explained the reasons why. And interestingly, the next thing I knew, I got this little message from somebody I didn't even know I was connected to, a lurker, for want of another better word, saying, "Hey, Richard, he was a VP of sales." VP of sales at a mid-market company. He sent me a message to say, "Hey, Rich, I've just read your post about sales demos, and it really struck a chord." And from there, it's just really about creating building the conversation. Hey, thanks, Donald. Appreciate your message. What was it about it that struck a chord? He said, and shares his own stories, and then it's how you then can turn that into a conversation about how you potentially help people with that, who are facing that same situation. Other times, I've literally had people where they've just literally followed me from afar, and I remember one customer that we signed up last year. The guy sent me a message out of the blue one Tuesday morning saying, "Hey, Richard, I've followed your content for a long time, found it really interesting. It's only in the past week that I've actually gone on your website as a result, just to find out what it is that you do, and it actually looks really interesting.
What
And
you do.
I'd love to set up a demo to find out more." Right, and so my posts resonated with him, built the audience. He still didn't have a clue what my company did, but I drew him to my company. He found out more, and that's what led him to booking a meeting with me. So there's a couple of stories there, Donald, which just kind of share how, people who, if you're proactive with this and you can build the audience, that sometimes they will actually end up coming to you and wanting to start a conversation.
I love this on many different ways. So one, it goes back to conversations. You're having conversation with people, and that conversation just one, you're posting interesting stuff, things that is relevant, and I think that's where you started off alluding to, like building the audience.
Right.
And some people get bent up with that, like, how do I build the audience? So I just go buy a list of people and have them follow me, or just, what do I do? You share relevant content to that community, and people are going to share it. They're going to talk about it. It's going to use the right hashtags. People are going to come back to you. Two, obviously you're connecting with folks, but two, you're besides just sharing the valuable content here, what you did was you had conversation with this person. It wasn't like they connected with you and then all of a sudden you say, "Hey, let's set up for a demo."
Right.
You found out what they liked about that post, what were some of the things that resonated with them. I imagine that conversation went something to the nature of, where it's like, what are some of the challenges you're facing right now when it comes to doing your demos? And you may have
100%.
said, yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, if you're willing, I'm more than willing to share some insights with you, jump on a quick call or show you how we do it. And I'm sure people in a situation like that, they see you as the expert. Like, of course, I'm going to willing to jump on a call with Rich.
Yeah, that's
You
it.
know what I
And
mean?
it's a
But
really interesting point you
maybe it
make,
went a
Donald.
different way.
It's a really interesting point you make there about being seen as the expert, because it I get a lot of people that feel sometimes when I get in a call with them, they feel a little bit embarrassed to be speaking with me because they think I'm some kind of like sales god from the outer worlds, when actually I'm just a guy just posting about my experiences of sales, and they kind of see me as this sort of celebrity, which is not what I intend. But
Yeah.
ultimately, the reality there is what you've touched upon there, is that when you post content and you post interesting opinions, not everybody's going to agree with what you say, which is totally fine. But the people who get value from your
And I think that's
post,
the great thing. That's when you're doing it well, when not everyone agrees, because that you're not just speaking to people who like you, that content is extending to others.
right?
And that's great, because some of those people who may not agree with that point that you have about coaching your rep, they probably agree with you with your concept about how you use LinkedIn. And
Hmm.
everyone doesn't need to agree. And I think that's the fear. And no one is, your life hasn't been threatened. The world hasn't come to an end if somebody disagree with you. That's what life is, and that's what the platform is all about. I think that makes for great
Yeah, no,
contrarian in a conversation.
I think I always say to people, I was like, the best content, people follow people who aren't that kind of vanilla bland, like, hey, they're just saying the same as everybody else. They're giving genuine, authentic opinions, as long as they're not offensive. It is key. And you get basically people who can just disagree with each other, but it creates conversation. When you create conversation, your content actually gets more traction on LinkedIn. So it's really key to have that.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. Um, there's so much here that we could probably go into. Man, I want to keep going, but I think the biggest takeaway that I'm getting from this, the way that you shattered your numbers, is one, you had people come, like on average, how many leads would you say you're getting on inbound, whether people hitting up you on the inbox or whatnot,
Um,
from when you're really pushing this as a seller?
I, I'd say I can average like um a, two or three leads a week, of which one might be a
Yeah.
really good quality. Which the way I look at it is, hey, that's a good few less cold calls I have to make every week.
And this is independence of RevOps, independent of marketing. This is just you being a seller, and you're going to do it no matter what. You're going to share your stuff. And here's the fascinating thing I think about too, Rich, is that most salespeople stay within their industry when they leave an organization. So, God forbid, if a seller was to leave a company, they're probably going to be stay in the same industry. So their base people who are following them are going to follow them literally to the next
Right.
organization, and it can still be of value. And I think that's the beautiful thing about it. It is literally, I call it like digital wealth that like people just don't realize. There's currency there that you have. That it's fabulous. So why do it? Because one, it's good to help the community. Two, you're going to help your pipeline, and three, you're going to have it forever.
Yeah, and I
So
think I
good
think
stuff on
people
that front.
people need to really bear that in mind. Is that um, some people don't like the phrase, your personal, your social brand. I just
Yeah.
say, right, change that for social reputation. Your LinkedIn profile or whatever you do on social media from a business perspective is your reputation, and as you said, follows you around your whole career, and could be the thing that opens up the next great opportunity for you, because people see you as that you're interesting, you talk about interesting stuff, you've got interesting perspectives, you've got expertise in a certain field, and that's why social selling is so valuable for people to pay attention to.
So true. I love it, man. Um, the final thing I have here, if I'm thinking about getting started with this, I want to start using LinkedIn. I want to shatter my numbers as well, and to be able to get it 2 or 3 extra leads per week. I mean, you get 2 extra leads per week, that's 8 extra leads per month. Half of those convert, like you're saying. I mean, that's some good deals in a pipeline there. If I'm adding 4 deals, at least 10K or 20K, no matter what your deal size is, to the
Yeah.
pipeline, that's great, independent of your cold outreach and your marketing stuff. But I want to get started with this. What should I do right now if I'm listening to this podcast, Rich?
Yeah, I think if you want to get started with it, you have to first of all consider who you would like your audience to be. I think that's really key. And we're talking about LinkedIn here, but you need to think about, okay, who do I want to appeal to? Now, what I would say is that just because if you sell, for example, let's just say you sell finance software, okay. Um, you can still build an audience on LinkedIn of salespeople who find it interesting what you do, and that audience can actually be the people who can refer you into the finance professionals in their business. You don't have to directly appeal to your followers on LinkedIn. They can just be your great network, your amplification, if you like, to getting you to the places you want to go. But I would say really to take my model is just start to post your own thoughts and perspectives on things to do with your role, right? It's the stuff that we live and breathe every day. Everybody's having their own experiences. And I always say to people, there's always somebody who is a little bit less experienced than you in your role. Even if you've been doing the role a week, you're more experienced than the person who hasn't started just yet. And so you could be the person that those people would most want to hear from, because you're more relevant to that person who hasn't just started than the person who's been doing the job for 10 years. So start to just think about you know putting perspectives out there, things that you're experiencing. Draw some of your posts from stuff that you're reading that others post about, but put your own spin on them, right? Why you agree with them, why you disagree with it, what's another take. There's so many ideas that you can get, but believe me when it's just about getting started, Donald. And if you put something out there and it only gets one like, it doesn't matter. You've just got to keep on going, because over time it will build. I was in that same place when it looked like nobody was reading my stuff. And then it's just consistency. It's like anything in sales. The consistent usually succeed. But that's my best advice to getting started.
Love it, man. Well, if folks out there are curious about connecting with you or learning about Lego, what's the best way for them to go about connecting with you and to learn more?
Yeah, the best to connect with me directly is just to look me up on LinkedIn, Richard Smith Lego, and connect with me on there. I post, as I said, every day, different perspectives and about sales. And if you want to find out about Lego and our sales enablement platform, then just go to our website, which is alego.com.
Well, appreciate you coming on the show, Richard. I am going to put this all in the show notes so folks can get access to it. Thanks, man, for taking the time to be here.
Pleasure. Thanks, Donald.
Hey, that was Richard Smith. You can find more information about him by clicking on the links below. He works with a company right now called Allego, and you can find all their details. Working as the VP of Sales, he's focusing on maximizing and helping sales professionals to be able to utilize the tools they need in organizations so they can grow. I want you to check him out, find out all the cool things that he's sharing, find out some of the cool things that his company is doing as well, and how they're creating magic and helping sales professionals like you and me, helping the industry overall to just grow and expand. Highly, highly, highly recommend the things that he shared today. If you're not utilizing LinkedIn, I'd love to learn why. Connect with me if you want to connect with your first person, or if you're not posting content, I would just love for you to drop me a message and let me know why. If some of the things that we talked about today applies to you like they applied to me. If you need help to generate 3 appointments per week, at least through LinkedIn, go ahead and connect with me as well. You can find more information in the show notes. We have a course designed specifically for you, and we can help you out with that. I do it, and as you can hear, Richard utilizes it. We still do cold outreach, but this is another thing that we add on top of it, and it's great. Listen, I want you to thrive and succeed. Our sponsors actually have been giving you some amazing offers that you can take advantage of as well to help you out in your sales efforts. So try them, check it out. Let me know. Our podcast is designed to do 2 things. 1, help you to build pipe. 2, convert that pipe. If you need any help, don't be afraid to reach out to me or my team. We're here to guide and help you. As always, our podcast is designed for 2 things. 1, help you to build pipe. 2, help you to move and convert that deal in that pipeline. I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. Most importantly, I want you to raise your level of thinking. I want you to go out and do big things. Thanks so much for watching.